Good evening, or no, it's still afternoon. Good afternoon. um, Today's going to be a slight Q&A and just one question, but the answer might be a little long. Um, for the person who complained about the box, this is the second time I've had a box behind me. This is not the same box as the first time. This is camping stuff that I gotta rearrange and pack up in the right way and store. So hopefully, I'm not going to say how soon, but hopefully that box will disappear sometime in the near future. Hopefully before next weekend. Um, but anyhow, that's not part of that's not of importance to me. If you're offended by it or aggravated by it, I'm sorry. It's called life. Shit happens and you have to deal with it. And if you don't, it's not. I don't know why it's a problem for you because it's my problem, not your problem. Um, if it's a visual problem because you end up focusing on it, well, focus. Try to focus on the thing behind me. That way, you're focused on my face and not the box. Um, but the question I have here comes from Sheila. Sorry. Um, and the question is, if I could, talking about me, so basically, if you could, let me try to read this the way it should be read. If I could open my own restaurant with no money worries, what kind of restaurant or food would you have? Well, that's kind of interesting because there's a lot of corporate based food companies here in Rolla. We have Applebee's, we have Denny's, McDonald's, Burger King, Taco Bell, Dairy Queen, Arby's, Long John Silver's, and Wendy's, amongst amongst some of them, and we also have big name restaurants like Applebee's, Panera Bread, Colton's, Steak and Shake, and a few other like steak houses or steak restaurants, as well as one or two Hispanic restaurants or Mexican food restaurants, however you want to call it. Let's just say Hispanic foods. So me wanting to be unique and stand out amongst the crowd and the horde of name brand or big name places, um, I would have to think of something unique. And the thing was is when we first moved out here from New York and saw how many spaces were open that had food type facilities that were like walking distance from the college, we were like, oh man, we can open up a New York style delicatessen. And I was like, yeah, because you don't really need much more than a hot grill or a flat iron grill and food slicing machines and the various types of cold cuts you want to serve, and you can make homemade sandwiches right there and then. But of course, my brain was going, well, we've got three subways in town, literally three subways in town. We got Jimmy John's, we got Arby's, we got Wendy's. They kind of have cold cut sandwiches or cold cut style foods. So no, I don't really want to do that no more. And this is 10 years. Oh, this is 8, 9 years ago. And then over the years, I was like, ooh, how about having like a diner, a simple old fashioned style diner? And I was like, no, we've got Steak and Shake, and we got a couple mom and pop places that are diner like food. So I was like, no, I don't want to really do that because that's just adding to what we already have in town. Then I was like, oh, man, if I can get that plot of land that I saw that's opposite, it's just like right around the corner from my house. It's up for sale. It's like 10 acres worth of land. It's perfect for a nice sized restaurant with a big parking lot. And then I was like, okay, well, okay, I see where I can do it. But what would I do? Then I was like, oh, perfect idea. Build a Norse style longhouse, like where the Jarl would live. Have the main part of the building, except for maybe the latter half of the building, set up benches and chairs and whatnot in a U-shaped setting, and basically in the middle would be like a big fire with one or two cauldrons to make stews in, while behind the back wall that would be underneath where I would live would be the kitchen, and we would make all kinds of Nordic style or Norwegian, Finnish, Danish, Swedish, German type foods um, to serve. And then if they wanted one of the stews or one of the soups that might be cooking in this big old cauldron, they can order that, and the server would come over to the people working the cauldrons or the soup pots, however you want to put it, and take a big old ladle and put it in a bowl, and of course we'd have like house salads, some sort of spring mix salad or something like that, and we would have to think about the like how much to charge, because it's almost a dinner and a show, because you've got the show part of these. I'm gonna say ladies. I would like to have ladies doing this, but young men can do it as well. Work the cauldrons, and they can see, people can watch them they're like two cauldrons and then a prep area, so they can see the workers chopping the vegetables or cubing up the meat and throwing it into the cauldron to cook, or the meat would actually be done, seared or half cooked in the main kitchen area and brung out, and then the prep people who are working the cauldron can cube up the meat right there in front of everybody and throw it into, and they would be in, the servers especially would be in Nordic type garb, or wear, you know, with their, they'd have they that one of the knives would be, on their, on their hip or whatnot, not one of the knives that they would use for like everyday work, but like a faux, one of the fake type knives from that era. A lot of it would have to be custom made stuff. But if money's not a worry, I'm not worried about how much it would cost me to get it built and set up and train the people and get them in the costumes and the it would be a metal blade, but it would be a blunted blade, so it wasn't sharp enough to hurt anybody unless you want to stab at them. But that kind of thing. And yes, we would follow food service protocols. So the people doing the prep out there in the open would have food service gloves, maybe a sharp glove so they don't hurt themselves with the actual work knives. Um, you know, and then at the end, the one end where the U ends, is where I would sit and greet people and tell people stories, and stories about the old gods or about the Nordic people. They would get a little bit of a history lesson. If I wasn't talking, I would be greeting the patrons and talking with them, and maybe have like what would they be called back then? A skald, which is basically a poet who talks about be poetic towards the Norse gods or anything like that. No, there would be no religious changes or conversions, just entertainment, Nordic style entertainment. So either that or I just do a simple Nordic pub house type or brew house type thing. not like the public brew house that we have in town, but you get a little bit of a history on how to make the mead and how the Norsemen collected the various items for their home brews. Um, but I like the first idea better because I'd be serving food and being able to greet people and go back in the kitchen to make sure everything is right and there's not issues. Um, so, and I would try to kind of have a area in the kitchen off the side for those who don't want meat products or can't have certain kind, like a special area of the kitchen for diet restricted foods. Um, so because I want to be able to serve everybody in my community, including those with gluten-free or gluten allergies, or they're pure vegan and they don't want their vegan product to be touched, be near or in the same environment or same areas as the meat products. So there'd be a separate area for all that, you know. But but I would probably have like one pot would be like a beef stew, while the other pot would be like a vegetable soup or like a clam chowder or something like that. Probably just a vegetable soup for the vegans, because my one cousin here that lives here in Missouri she's pure vegan. She only eats certain kinds of meats. I think she'll eat clam. I don't know if she eats clams. I don't even know if she eats any kind of meat. Now that I think about it. Um, but you know, being I have certain members of my family who are either vegetarians or have gluten problems or want to stay away from gluten. Like my wife, she's trying to stay away from gluten. So that's the kind of restaurant I would probably try to make, because if if the image in my brain were to come true on the outside of a building, it would look like something that came literally out of the history books for the Norse histories, and then the interior would almost look the same, because I want the authentication of my restaurant. I don't want it to go, oh, it looks like something from Norway outside, but when we get inside, it looks like modern day America. No, no, no. I want it to look like it came literally out of the books and was dropped in the middle of Rolla, because I want it to be, one, I want it to be unique. Two, I want it to be something that people would want to come back to. Three, it would be a semi-tourist attraction. So in my brain, not only would it be something I want to do, but what am I thinking? The benefits not only to myself but to the town of Rolla for attracting something special. Like, hey, you want to eat like you would if you were a Viking? Come to... And I don't know what I'd name it yet. I would try to keep my name out of it, but... The Jarl's house. The Jarl's club. The Jarl's hall. The Jarl's hall. It has a nice little ring, even though it's a tongue twister. But, yeah, that would be something I would... If I didn't have to worry about money, that's exactly what I'd do. Of course, for the kids, I'd have some kid-type food, whether it was chicken nuggets and french fries or something that a kid would enjoy. Mac and cheese, grilled cheese sandwich, nuggets, you know, something like that. But, that's a pipe dream. It's a big pipe dream too. And I would go for it if I didn't have to worry about the money. I would go for that. But with today's environment and today's overheads and today's costs and all that fun stuff, I would have to charge a pretty penny for the big plates, and depending on what kind of meats, because I wouldn't use just regular beef. It would have to be like Angus or organic, or something a little bit more authentic than just porterhouse steaks, you know. And I think one of the things I would love to do, especially on big holidays, is remove the kettles, and both fire pits would have jumbo-sized pig being roasted on the spit, and somebody would have to sit there and crank it, because I would not use any kind of motorized crank. I would have somebody actually cranking it, unless I could set up like one of these, look realistic, but it's got a motor in it, so it's doing the cranking motion, and not having to worry about somebody actually being standing there cranking it, getting hot by, getting overheated by the fire, or just tired of doing that one job. Or devise some sort of ingenious system where it's still being rotated, but nobody has to operate the crank, but there's no visible motor, like maybe something underground, or a rope system that I can loop over like wheels, and it would just do its own without a motor, without an electrical motor or something like that. And I'd have to buy tons and tons of artificial flame lights or something like that. So, or I'd just make the cauldrons look real, but have an artificial flame underneath it, or something that looks real, but it's not real. It's not going to cause any fires if a spark would come off the wood and start trouble issues. So it'd be all artificial but look realistic. I mean, realistic. Like maybe one of those, I might have to be custom made, but big old box that can sit in the ground. It has the flickering flame lights and a fan, so it would blow like the cloth flame or something. It looks like a flame dancing around, but it's all lights and whatnot. But something that looks real but is not real, That way the overhead cost wouldn't be so much, because you wouldn't have to buy wood every other week or every week, which is one of the things I don't really want to happen, because, let's say somebody has issues with breathing and they come in and the smoke from the fire causes them to have a respiratory failure or something like that. I wouldn't want that either. But something safe but fun, so we can put on a show and talk about the everyday life of Norsemen. Might get a little repetitive at times, but for the most part, because not everybody that's going to come in is the same group. But yeah, I would like to do that. I'd like to have something like that I could live there, but I'm also doing my thing, or doing earning money with the restaurant part. But that's something I would do. Hold on, folks. I'll be right back. But yeah, that's what I would do. I would love to do something like that. Like I said, it would be unique, and probably become a lucrative type of attraction, as well as diner. Throw special holiday parties for like 4th of July, or the various different holidays, both Christian and non-Christian. Not because of the factor I'm. It's one of those things where it's like, I want to honor everybody that is part of my history, and entertain people at the same time. But a lot of people around here celebrate the different solstices, the summer, winter, spring, fall solstice. We've got like 4th of July, Christmas, Thanksgiving. Thanksgiving would be one of those kind of things like, do I stay open or no? I'd probably close on Thanksgiving Day and Christmas Day to give my workers the day off. But I would probably, invite family. Hey, come down and stay with me at my lodge, um, and sort of, cook me and Jerry can cook in the kitchen for the different foods for Thanksgiving or Christmas, as well as giving my family a chance to come visit and literally stay with us. Because I would probably have extra rooms upstairs. I would have like guest rooms upstairs that could accommodate maybe 7 or more family members. Um, like I could probably invite most of, if not all of, well, depending on what everybody else's plans are, depends on what we do, because it's like the only family member that I can think of that would have a hard time because I would not have an elevator. You'd have to climb stairs unless Jerry Ann had to have an elevator because she was stuck in that wheelchair, which I hope to God does not happen. Um, he would have to We'd have to set up some place for him to sleep downstairs. um, but I don't know. I mean, some of them might not want to stay with us. They might want to stay in their own hotel room, especially, you know, my brother-in-law. And the only other person I could think of would be Lisa because of her hip. But she might be better by then. If that dream ever came true, she might be better by the holidays. But that's that. Hopefully, I answered that question adequately enough for Sheila, sorry. But let's see here. 8 minutes plus whatever. Okay. I'm actually gonna let this go. I wanted to do more, but I realized that it's getting to that time where I need to figure out dinner. So I'm gonna let you guys go. Hopefully this was a good vlog. Hopefully you guys enjoyed it. No, I'm not asking for anybody's help to fulfill a dream like that. That's a pipe dream that only would happen if I had a ton of money. And I don't want anybody trying to give me a ton of money for a dream like that. But anyhow, if you guys enjoyed this video, give it a thumbs up. If you have any questions or comments, go ahead and put them in the question and comment box. And yes, I'm talking really fast all of a sudden. Sorry. If you're new to my channel, you can hit the subscribe button if you want to, because maybe you want to hear more about what's going on in my life, my interest in the Nordic people. Even though a lot of these books call them Vikings, which is an occupation, not a people. Yeah, you can go ahead and hit the subscribe button, and once you do that, a little bell will pop up, and you click on that bell, and YouTube will let you know when I put up my next video. So until next time, guys, have a good day. Bye.